Let's go!
Time to pull up a chair and talk some Dynasty football. I am your host, JJ Wenner, and this is the Ride or Dynasty podcast. Tonight, we are so blessed to be joined by Santiago Casanova, a writer for B Roto Fantasy. Santiago, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Santiago. I'm from Mexico. I actually just got into the fantasy community really recently, but I'm really happy. I just want to keep contributing. And actually, it's pronounced Broto, not B-Roto.
My apologies. Sorry about that. What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is at @FF_Casanova. You can find the work I do over there.
Yeah, I read a couple of your articles. They're very good. I like your approach to it. Now, you are a math major, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Applied maths.
Very nice. I love math majors. I love how you guys think, so I'm excited for this. Now, tonight we are going to do something, Santiago, that has, if I'm not mistaken, never been done before on a podcast. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to be simulcasting from the war room of 4 different teams participating in a live mock draft. Now, each of the 4 teams was assigned a specific draft strategy, and they're under orders to follow that strategy or be flogged. So we're going to have a team that is doing 0 RB. We're going to have a late QB. And we're also going to have a 0 wide receiver or running back heavy. And Santiago is going to walk us through his preferred strategy, which he calls seesaw running back. Can you give me a little sneak preview of what that is?
Sure thing. The term seesaw running back actually was coined by one of the guys over at Proto Fantasy. And what it means is you follow the motion of a seesaw. So you take running backs early and you take running backs late. The mid-rounds, you concentrate on getting depth in other positions, but avoid running backs. You avoid your David Montgomery. Well, he's a different situation now. But just your mid-round running backs, you avoid them. Get the top guys and get your depth breakout possible guys.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I didn't know there was a name to that strategy, but I like that strategy a lot. So yeah, we are going to bring everybody in, and what you are going to hear, riders, is each group discussing their pick and the picks that came before. So you're going to get a glimpse inside what teams are thinking as they make their picks and as they work through a strategy. Now, just to run by the 4 teams so you know who is who, I am actually pairing up with the guest, Santiago. We are picking in the 5th slot. Don Detweiler, Big Daddy, and the Devi Dirtbag himself, Ryan Bickerstaff, are picking 8th, and they're going to be 0 RB. Picking at the 11th slot are Eric and Jared. They're doing the late QB, so they're not allowed to pick any QBs until the first 12 are taken. And our first picking group is Blair and Brendan. They are picking 2nd, and they're going to go running back heavy. They are not allowed to pick a wide receiver until after round 5. Before we get to this, we actually have a special treat for us tonight. Kyle Allen was not able to make it onto the pod, but he is here with an episode of Next Man Up.
Next man up. We always pride ourselves on the next man up.
So it's all about the next man up.
It's the next man up league. Hey man, next man up.
That kind of hurted me though.
What is up, riders? My name is Kyle Allen, and this is the Next Man Up Injury Report Training Camp Edition. If you read my most recent article, you may recall that sudden increases in workload often lead to an increased risk for soft tissue injury, and this year's training camp has been no exception. The injury list is very long, so I'll keep it to the point for this segment and focus on fantasy-relevant players only. If you'd like a full list of injuries, check out the article that corresponds to this segment. It'll be up on our website soon. Without further ado, let's kick it off with QBs. Last year's number 1 scoring QB Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens missed 2 practices with a groin injury but has since returned to practice. Head coach Jim Harbaugh declined to elaborate on the injury, saying that it was a minor groin injury and that the team expects him to be just fine. Next up, while he may not be fantasy relevant, I would be remiss not to discuss the incredible recovery of Alex Smith. He has undergone 17 surgeries since suffering a compound fracture of his tibia and fibula in November of 2018 and has finally been cleared for football activity. He has begun participating in 7-on-7s during camp and hopes to return to full practice soon. Next up are our running backs. Kenyon Drake of the Arizona Cardinals was seen in a walking boot after practice on Monday, which head coach Cliff Kingsbury described as precautionary. He said the boot was for general training camp soreness. The extent of this injury is still unknown, and he has yet to return to practice. Keep an eye on this story for more details out of Cardinals camp. Miles Sanders of the Philadelphia Eagles has been listed as week to week with a lower body injury. This is a very ambiguous injury designation, and it can be especially concerning because we don't know how severe it is. We're ultimately at the mercy of Doug Peterson and his staff until the Eagles release some sort of report on Sanders. David Montgomery of the Chicago Bears suffered a groin injury after slipping awkwardly in practice this week. While the full extent of the injury is also unknown, according to an NFL Network report, his recovery time should be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. This is a situation to monitor in Chicago as the season is quickly approaching, and this injury very well could bleed into the season, and even if Montgomery returns, he could be limited. Next up are the wide receivers. Jarvis Landry of the Cleveland Browns is well ahead of his 6 to 8 month expected recovery time after undergoing hip surgery this offseason. He's cleared the PUP list and is expected to join the team for drills this week. Browns training staff are hopeful that he'll be ready to go by week 1 when they meet with Baltimore. After missing the combine due to a hamstring injury, rookie KJ Hamler of the Denver Broncos is now out approximately 4 weeks due to a subsequent hamstring injury. He's not expected to be ready to go for week 1. Hamstring injuries tend to vary in time in which they heal, so this is a story to watch for Hamler as it may carry into the season. T.Y. Hilton of the Indianapolis Colts spent 10 days on the active non-football injury list due to a hamstring injury of his own, which he suffered prior to camp. Last season, he missed 6 games due to injury, so starting camp dinged up is not an ideal situation for a 31-year-old receiver. But he has since been activated as practicing with the team, and he's looking for a bounce-back season with new QB Phillip Rivers. Deontay Johnson of the Pittsburgh Steelers has been a top choice for many fantasy experts to have a second-year breakout this season with the return of Big Ben. This training camp, however, has gotten off to a rocky start. He's dealing with a soft tissue injury of his lower leg that has caused him to miss nearly a week of practice and is allowing a lot more reps for James Washington and rookie Chase Claypool to catch the coach's eyes. Last up for the offensive players are the tight ends. TJ Hawkinson of the Detroit Lions got off to a hot start last season, but it was cut short by a gruesome ankle injury on Thanksgiving for the Lions. While he has been running routes since June, he's publicly stated that he is not 100% yet, and offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell has already mentioned that Hawkinson is not coming along as quickly as they initially expected. The last tight end, Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles, suffered a hairline fracture in his thumb during practice last week, but returned to full practice 2 days later and has not appeared limited by the injury. Last but not least, I can't leave out my IDP guys. Keanu Neal of the Atlanta Falcons suffered a torn Achilles in Week 3 of 2019, and head coach Dan Quinn stated that he may be limited to begin camp, but those concerns seem to be dashed as he's been practicing well, strung together multiple days without limitations. The former Pro Bowler looks to return to dominance patrolling the Falcons secondary. After complaining of some leg soreness that worsened on a scheduled off day, Nick Bosa of the San Francisco 49ers underwent an MRI, which revealed a muscle strain in his leg. At this point, the Niners have listed him as week to week and plan on allowing him as much time as he needs to get back to 100% before rushing him back. Last but not least, second overall pick Chase Young of the Washington football team missed a few days of training camp with an injured hip flexor. He's since returned to practice, but he expressed frustrations with his limited performance. Head coach Ron Rivera, however, has stated that they've been impressed with Young on the field and have no concerns with his ability to perform when games begin. That does it for the Next Man Up injury report. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at @KAllen_4. Now it's time to get back to JJ and the crew. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Before we start, just to go over the rules of the draft, it is a 12-team redraft league. We are starting 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, one tight end. We have one super flex position and one flex position with 8 bench spots. So 16 total players. Once the draft starts, you will only hear the audio of the team that is on the clock. The other teams cannot hear each other. That way you will be able to get a unfiltered access to the conversations behind drafting these teams. Let's start this draft.
So we are on the clock right now. I'm Brendan, and this is Blair. We've got 90 seconds. We're going running back heavy. I think Christian McCaffrey is the way to go.
I agree. Alvin Kamara going first is kind of interesting. In Superflex, I normally would go quarterback early here, but definitely can't go wrong with taking CMC this early. I'm surprised he's still here, actually. So easy pick. We'll lock it in.
Awesome.
We are up. So they went with Christian McCaffrey, followed by Saquon Barkley and Dalvin Cook. Now, Santiago, who are we going with in your seesaw approach?
This is a tough one because the 4 big names are gone. Well, actually, Zeke is still available, so I think that's the pick. I don't think it's even a debate here.
Very good. He is ours.
I mean, it looks like we're going to have to go with Devontae Adams here since we're taking the 0 RB approach.
Yeah, so Ryan, you and Don here. Adams is sitting there. It's perfect. So right now the other options really aren't all that appealing. So, yeah, we got to go Adams.
Adams, definitely. He's my number 1 wide receiver this season. I think he very well can finish as the number 1 receiver. And going with a 0 RB approach, this feels like the obvious pick here at 8.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Thomas went 2 ahead of us, so this is what we're left with, and I'm real happy about it. So go ahead and do it.
All right, locking it in. Devontae Adams.
All right, so this is Eric and Jared here. We're taking the late round quarterback approach. We're not going to take a quarterback until 12 have come off the board. Jared, what are you thinking here?
You know, the running backs went off so fast. I kind of expected to see at least one quarterback in there.
Yeah, and just to that point, Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon were the last 2 picks here at 9 and 10. So, yeah, this is a tough call with no quarterbacks off the board. That kind of hurts on an approach where we can't take one.
You know, my thought is, and again, I'm not a huge fan of it, but, you know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been shooting up the draft board. He's kind of that last, maybe tier 2, especially with 2 big wide receivers off the board.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I think he's getting hyped a little bit more than he should just because of the rookie risk. But I agree, we got to grab a running back before it gets too picked over. And I think we can grab a wide receiver maybe on the way back around.
Okay.
All right, there it is. CEH.
Back to us.
All right.
So right after Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it went Nick Chubb and Kenyon Drake. So I'm glad we took a running back there.
Yeah, that was the right call.
You know, we're going to be really light on the quarterback side, so we've got a couple options here. We could be pretty good with the running back position with a guy like Eckler or Sanders. Julio's still out there. I'm not a big fan of Travis Kelce here. What's your thoughts?
I was thinking wide receiver on the way back around, but I kind of like the idea of adding Sanders here. I think he's probably the last guy left who I feel could be an RB1 for you for the next 5 or 6 years. So I think it's kind of the last guy in a tier there.
Yeah, I think that probably gives us a leg up on running backs.
All right, Sanders it is.
All right, buddy.
So they went Clyde and Sanders, 2 solid backs that look very promising, but still have a lot left to prove.
That's pretty risky.
All right, so Ryan. So here we are. We're on the clock here. Hill went before us, and nothing but running backs. So here we are, second round.
Hill.
Yeah, I'm anti Tyreek Hill too. I'm not big into boomer bust players. I like a nice even production level. But here we are, second round, and we are spoiled for choice. Both top tight ends are hanging. Mahomes is hanging. And our wide receivers are virtually untouched. So D-Hop is still there. What do you think of D-Hop?
I actually have him, I believe, ranked number 6. I don't know, I'm a little skeptical of like those big name receivers in their first season in new offense. I don't doubt that Hopkins can have a big season, but I would prefer Julio Jones or Chris Godwin at a place like this. Or is this tight end premium? I guess we should have probably hammered this out.
No, it's not. It's just Superflex PPR.
PPR? Okay, so I mean we can wait on tight end too.
Well, in regular PPR, you want in the top 2 are hanging. They're like what you want. But I agree with you. We can probably sit and chill, and we don't even need to grab our quarterback now, even with Mahomes hanging out. I like wide receiver here. So what do you think, Godwin, or do you want to go Julio?
I mean, Julio's old reliable. You can pretty much pencil him in for 1,300 yards. His touchdown numbers aren't going to be great, but he's good for close to 100 receptions. But Godwin, he pretty much fits Tom Brady's game. Like, Godwin could be...
You know what? Let's do it. Godwin it is.
Godwin it is. All right. Locking it in.
All right. So after Chris Godwin went, Julio Jones and Aaron Jones went off the board. Santiago, who are we looking at this juncture?
See, we got a really RB heavy first 2 rounds, so that puts us in an interesting situation. The running backs left, I like Fournette for this pick. He should be the bell cow at Jacksonville, and I don't see any other that I like this early. Bell would have been my option, but I don't trust Gase adding Balaj into the mix.
Yeah, and even Gore has been stealing work. So I agree. I think we should go Fournette.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So we're on the clock now. Blair and I, and Mahomes and Lamar just got taken. Second round, the first 2 quarterbacks off the board. So we are going to go with our best running back here. Blair, who do you like?
I really am into James Conner and Chris Carson. James Conner obviously has the injury issues. It's going to be tough for him to really hit this one specific spot in ADP. He's either going to be way more valuable or way less valuable. So I'm fine with him. Carson, super solid. We are going running back heavy, so I think one of those 2 is my preference.
Let's do Connor.
That sounds great to me. I like it. All right, let's lock that in, and then hope for a quarterback coming back around.
So DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce were the next 2 picks, and then we are on the clock here again at 3-2, the second pick in the 3rd round, and we're going to go quarterback. And Dak is on the board, Russ is on the board, Kyler is on the board. My favorite out of these 3 guys is Dak, but I like Russ a lot too. What do you think?
I 100% agree. Dak Prescott, it's so many weapons, great O-line. Their defense is terrible. And basically everything you're looking for that's not Mahomes or Jackson, Dak Prescott hits all of those boxes. So I'm fully on board taking Dak here. I think CeeDee Lamb will just open things up even more. I agree. Let's do it.
Through 3 rounds, McCaffrey, James Conner, Dak Prescott.
I'm liking the start of our team. I think we're off to a good start. And personally, I mean, I like this build better. Even if we're going with strategy of no running back, this is what I would have done anyway. I think we're off to a great start. I'm really liking it.
All right. So after, they took Dak Prescott, those sons of bitches. George Kittle and Kenny Golladay went. Now, Santiago, we were discussing going with a quarterback here. What are you thinking? Wilson, Murray?
I mean, they are both great options. The rushing work really, it just adds to their value. Now, do we want the young guy or the proven guy in a not so good offense for QBs?
Man, I'm going to lean Russell Wilson only because I don't trust Kyler as much. I like the floor of Russell Wilson more.
Yeah, he has a solid floor, and if their coaches decide they let him play a little bit, he could be great. I agree with Russ.
All right, and Russ, we trust.
Yes, sir.
Mike Evans got nabbed. Thielen got nabbed. So we're sitting here looking at either options for quarterback or wide receivers like DJ Moore. Big potential there.
Yeah, DJ Moore as a flex, that would just be absolutely filthy.
We think about Deshaun Watson here. Too early?
I mean, I prefer Kyler with the weapons he has in the offense, tailored toward throwing the ball a ton.
All right. So I think DJ Moore is the man. With Galladay already sniped, both the top tight ends gone, I think Moore's our dude.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
Do it.
All right, locking him in.
All right, we're up.
All right, Jared. We're kind of boxed out here of running back and quarterback now. That was the downside to our first two picks. What are you thinking, wide receiver or tight end?
I tend to think we go tight end here, or I'm sorry, wide receiver, and see if we can snake a tight end coming back around. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think the two options you would consider at tight end are Travis Kelce and George Kittle, and they're both long gone at this point. So I'm good with wide receiver. Plenty of good options. We got Allen Robinson, Odell Beckham, Juju Smith-Schuster, Amari Cooper, just to name a few. Are you leaning one way in particular?
You know, I'm always attracted to the talent of Juju and Odell. You know, their last years were obviously disappointing, but man, there's so much talent there. I tend to think they make the bounce back. I don't know what the Chicago quarterback situation is going to look like, so I'd say your choice between Juju and Odell.
I agree, and I think it's neck and neck. If anybody who listens to the pod regularly knows I'm a diehard Odell guy, but just on the off chance, I think Juju is more likely to be taken in the next few picks here. I'm going to go that way. All right, back to us. And since I missed it last time, the last few picks were Chris Carson and David Johnson leading up to our Juju pick, and then Le'Veon Bell and Allen Robinson at the turn, who we took a look at. So do we go back to the wide receiver well here, Jared, or are we mixing up?
The wide receivers are so deep. But I think there's a chance that Mark Andrews makes it back to us, and I don't think a guy like Odell Beckham's going to make it back to us. So I'm okay going back to the wide receiver well if you are.
I'm good with it. Like I said, I love Odell. I think you can lock in a potentially elite option there. I think that's the way to go.
Okay.
Done. Good work.
Okay, here we go. Debbie Dirtbag on the clock now. We're the zero RB strategy, so we're in a unique position. We've already got 3 abject studs at wide receiver and 2 more rounds to go before we can even look running back. So what do you think? Tight end or quarterback here?
Well, I mean, Mark Andrews is on the board still, and I think he can honestly flirt with 1,000 yards this year, probably good for 10 touchdowns.
I think so as well. I'm huge on him this year. And at this point, mid-round 4, I think he's steal.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should lock him in.
Let's do it.
All right, Mark Andrews it is.
All right, so after they took Mark Andrews, we saw Amari Cooper and Todd Gurley go off. Santiago, now we have 2 running backs. We have our first QB. Do we start looking at wide receiver, in your opinion?
I think we do. We have some pretty solid options, too. I see A.J. Brown, Robert Woods, who I like better than Cooper Kupp. Even Calvin Ridley, some people are high on him. What do you think?
Looking at who's available, I'm a DK Metcalf fan, but I think he might be there for us at the beginning of the next when we come back around. A.J. Brown worries me because of the pass volume, but Robert Woods or Calvin Ridley or Cooper Kupp.
It's Ridley or Woods for me.
Ridley or Woods?
Yeah, that Rams offense scares me, and with the new 12 personnel rumors, Cup could lose value. So, yeah.
Well, let's go Woods. Let's give Bobby Trees
All right.
some respect here.
Robert Woods, let's go.
Right before us, JJ took Robert Woods, and then the computer took DK Metcalf, followed by Melvin Gordon. We're going with a running back heavy strategy, but this is Superflex, and I think there's way too much value here in terms of quarterbacks. We already have Christian McCaffrey and James Conner. Personally, I'm leaning Kyler Murray as our second quarterback off the board. So much upside there. Even if he doesn't hit exactly what he's supposed to do, he's going to be our second quarterback.
I totally agree. Let's go with Kyler and watch that fun offense put up points with Kenyon Drake and Larry Fitz and Nuke and Christian Kirk. And it's going to be fun to watch as our second quarterback after Dak. Let's do it.
There's still a couple running backs we can get to later too, so I feel confident that if we take a quarterback here, we on the turn when it comes back to us, we'll still be able to get a good running back for our third one. So yeah, this sounds great. We're going to lock in Kyler. The computer is going to make 2 more picks after us. They took 2 wide receivers, Cooper Kupp and A.J. Brown. So that really doesn't limit any of our running back options here. We still have Ingram, Singletary, Mostert, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones. But you were saying there's someone you're thinking about reaching here, and I'm not upset about it.
I like DeAndre Swift a lot. People were scared off about the landing spot after the draft, and I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. This might be a bold take, but I think the Lions could have a top 7 or 8 offense this year. I'm all in on DeAndre Swift, and after McCaffrey and James Conner, I would really like our running back room.
Yeah, no, I agree. Reports are Kerryon still has a leg brace on. They're saying that's just for his own personal comfort. But you don't take a second-round quarterback unless you're going to use them. So I'm fine with taking DeAndre here.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sounds great. So we're going to lock in DeAndre.
All right, well, Calvin Ridley went after DeAndre Swift. We saw Kareem Hunt go. That's way too early for Kareem Hunt, if you're asking me. So here we are. We're on the clock. We have our 2 running backs. We have our wide receiver 1, and we have our QB 1. What are you thinking we do at this point? Do you want to stick with wide receiver?
I think wide receiver is a play. We can wait on QB and tight end. We missed out on DK, but we still could get Lockett. I don't know how you feel about him.
I love Lockett.
Me too. I mean, honestly, I think we can go Lockett right here.
Smash! Tyler Lockett.
All right, here we are. The Debbie Dirtbag team hanging out. The 0 RB strategy. Pick 5. And glory be, Deshaun Watson sits for us. We're a round away before we can look running back, and we know that 6 and 7 are going to be running backs for us. We have no quarterback, but we have 3 wide receivers and a tight end already, and monsters at all. So now, do we have to take Watson, or should we look at like a Matty Ice or a Stafford?
I mean, it has to be Watson if he's there.
No brainer, right?
Yeah, with his rushing floor, I mean, he should still finish as a top 5 quarterback.
Dude, no brainer. Especially in redraft, hit it.
Deshaun Watson.
All right, so Deshaun Watson, Mark Ingram, Devin Singletary, the last 3 picks here, Jared. We're still only at, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks off the board. We still got a long ways to go.
Oh, man, there's so many good quarterbacks.
I know. This is tough. This is testing my will here.
We were talking, is this a flex spot for us? Is this a tight end spot for us? I think Zach Ertz is a really good option there. I think there's comparable guys we can put in our flex and come back on the turn. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think it kind of keeps with the theme of some of our last few picks of just trying to get the last guy in a tier and trying to monitor those drop-offs. Don't chase the wide receivers, I'm okay with going wide receiver heavy, but don't chase them. There's plenty of options. So Hurts it is.
All right, buddy.
Oh, no. No. That's a sucker punch. Oh, last 2 picks, DJ Chark Jr. and my dear, dear Terry McLaurin.
Keenan and Terry both gone in the last, 6 picks for you?
That
That's
is
rough,
rough.
man.
Right as I was saying, too, there will be plenty of wide receiver options. What I really meant was Terry McLaurin will still be there, so everything's okay. And now he's not. All right. What do we do?
All
We're
right,
going to
man.
rush back here. I mean, to be fair, there are still plenty of wide receiver options. Cortland Sutton, Marquise Brown, Stephon Diggs. I think at running back, if we want to take a youth approach, maybe Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins.
I think Cam Akers is going to eat a lot in LA this year. There is a lot of talent still left in the wide receiver tier. We started this draft building with the running backs. I'd sure like to get one more guy that we believe in as a starter. So I would be perfectly fine with a Cam Akers or a J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think we can go Akers, and I think it's important there because he gives you a chance at genuine RB1, a true guy you can build around. Not that he's a guarantee to hit that, but you need those key pieces. He's got a shot for that.
Agreed.
Akers it is.
Literally the pick before him.
Oh, he hurt us.
Dobbins.
Oh, J.K. Dobbins.
All right.
So we just saw Cam Akers, Ronald Jones, and T.Y. Hilton go off the board. J.K. Dobbins is sitting right there. He's obviously going to split time with Mark Ingram, but the reports out of camp are good on him, at least.
Well, again, we're the 0 RB. The handcuffs are finally off. We have to go running back, and I love Dobbins' upside, especially looking at the kiddie pool that is the running back position that we're left with. So, yeah, man, Dobbins it up.
Yeah.
Because the other guys on the board are like Dobbins,
Dobbins.
White, and Mack. So, no. Just no. Dobbins.
Yeah, no thank you. Dobbins.
All right, so Cortland Sutton went. We had discussed him. Marquise Brown just went. I love Marquise Brown. So here we are. We have 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 quarterback. Do we go tight end? Do we hit another running back? Do we do wide receiver? Where's your head?
I wouldn't do running back because of the seesaw strategy. Kind of wait until the later rounds. Now, tight end, I don't think we can go this early for Darren Waller type or Ingram. I think it's too early for them. We could get them later, or if you like Higbee. So,
right.
I don't know. Hate to sound like a broken record, but wide receiver I think is a play.
All right, so looking at the wide receivers, we have Diggs, Parker, Fuller, Gallup, Cooks. Any of those guys stand out to you?
Gallup just sticks out of the bunch. He out targeted per game Amari Cooper, and I think he's a play here.
I don't know if we've just become best friends, but I have to agree with you 100%. I'm pounding Gallup here. Let's go.
Yes.
So we are on the board with our 6th pick. This is Blair and Brendan drafting at 6'11" right now. JJ just selected Michael Gallup, and then Darren Waller and Will Fuller got selected. So we are looking at wide receivers because so far we have 3 running backs and 2 quarterbacks. Blair, out of Stephon Diggs, Devontae Parker, Brandon Cooks, who do you like? Tyler Boyd?
Diggs is tough for me because he is the wide receiver 1 on his team, but we were just saying that Brandon Cooks has been so solid for his whole career. And those concussions obviously are scary. But if we're projecting Deshaun Watson to be a top 5, top 6 quarterback and not including his wide receivers as options, who's he going to throw to? So I really like Brandon Cooks here. AJ Green's a little scary with the injuries, but he's got a lot of upside as well. Stephon Diggs, like you said, I'm not huge on. He is a wide receiver 1. There could be potential. But for me, I think it's got to be Cooks.
I agree. Deshaun Watson's a monster, and it looks like Brandon Cooks is wide receiver 1. Will Fuller's going to miss, 8 games this year, probably, minimum. Let's go Cooks.
And we're going to be swinging back around, so I think we'll still be able to get someone good.
So Stephon Diggs got selected right after us, and then Marlon Mack, and we are going to double up on receivers. We can go Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, Devontae Parker, Julian Edelman, Jarvis Landry. What are your thoughts?
You know who I really like here is Jarvis Landry, actually. I think when we've gone with the running backs and quarterback heavy to start, we're going to be at a disadvantage in wide receiver regardless. So if we can get a nice, stable floor, Jarvis has been incredibly successful his entire career. Sure, doesn't have the touchdowns, doesn't have the huge games, but when we're just looking for a floor in this 7th round, I really like him. I think I just heard the other day he has the most career catches for anyone through their first 6 seasons. So we're going to be looking at solid production regardless. And in PPR, I'm actually kind of surprised he lasted that long.
On top of that stat, he's never missed a professional football game in his career. With some questionable picks that we have so far, DeAndre Swift, Brennan Cooks, James Conner's had some injuries. I like the high floor of Jarvis Landry. Let's do it.
Perfect. Yeah, and AJ Green's available, injury risk. Edelman's getting old. I love this pick for us. This looks great. Let's lock it in.
All right. So after Jarvis Landry, we see another Dolphin. Landry was a former Dolphin. Devontae Parker and James White of my dreaded Patriots. All right. We have 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a quarterback. Do we go with a tight end or a quarterback here, do you think?
It could go both ways. Looking at the rankings, I think we can wait on quarterback and get someone like Carson Wentz or Matthew Stafford later on.
Yes.
So tight end is interesting to me here. We can get someone like Evan Engram, solid floor, good athlete, and young QBs tend to target the tight end. So Danny Dimes' connection with Evan Engram could be a good one.
I just don't like the fact that he has missed more games every year. He plays fewer and fewer every year of his career.
That's true.
I'm going to lean wide receiver here and just keep pounding that position. I think at this point, I think a Julian Edelman, I know this is just redraft, but who else is going to catch the ball there?
That's true.
But I mean, we also have Tyler Boyd. We have Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd is interesting to me.
Well, it goes with our strategy of these high floor guys. Tyler Boyd is a high floor, and especially as your wide receiver 4.
Exactly. As a wide receiver 4, Tyler Boyd is a premium pick. I think we could go Tyler. I like him better than Edelman, if I'm honest.
That's all I want you to be. All right, so we are going Tyler Boyd.
Dude, he took Boyd. All right. Here we go. Dirtbag back on the clock. The 0 RB strategy. We have RB1. Now we're looking at possible RB2, but we're having a little bit of a conversation here about maybe do we snack our second quarterback, because this is Superflex, and there are some big names left. And
we got Breeze here, Ryan, Brady, Rodgers. But that is a lot of options, and it's pretty thin at running back.
Have a look at our running backs, and let's take a quick peek here. Jordan Howard, Antonio Gibson, who you can't trust at all. And, here we go, Philip Lindsay. This is interesting now.
Philip Lindsay.
Now, how do we feel about that timeshare? Because we know it's going to be a timeshare.
I mean, I've been hearing that Melvin Gordon was brought in to replace Royce Freeman, not Philip Lindsay. I think that Gordon is going to get passing downs, but Lindsay could very well be the guy on first and second down.
Okay, so we have 3 wide receivers, a top 3 tight end in the pocket, and Deshaun Watson somehow, which was gravy. 1 running back. We probably need to go running back here. So what do you think, Lindsay? The other choices are Cohen or like Howard.
Let's go Cohen. I just like his PPR upside.
You want to go Cohen? All right. Especially with Montgomery's recent injury troubles. Let's do it. Be brave, right?
All right. Yeah, 0 RB, Cohen.
And I'll tell you what, we could take him if we're lucky.
All right.
We got him on the field.
What are you thinking, Eric?
All right, last 2 picks. Little mini run on tight ends here. Evan Ingram and Rob Gronkowski. We are sitting right now with 3 running backs already, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end, and a lockout on quarterbacks still. I think maybe come back to the wide receiver group. It's the deepest position left, which, you don't want to go too far into the deepest position too early, but at this point it's one of the few positions left with some substantial talent. Do you have any particular targets there?
We talked a little bit about upside. Since we're building our bench before anyone else at this point, I think we have the luxury of effectively stashing some high upside guys. We talked Jerry Jeudy, we talked CeeDee Lamb. I think both of those guys, 3, 4, 5 weeks into the season are going to see some significant go. I think Jeudy probably a little bit earlier. Thoughts?
Yeah, I've had a chance to grab both of them in a couple leagues, and every single time I'm up and they're both on the board, I don't know which way to go. I think I have one extra share of Lamb across my league, so my vote's for Jeudy here. Just balance it out. What the hell?
Sounds great.
Can't go wrong either way.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, I don't love this team, and I know they can't hear us right now.
All right. And the running backs continue to fly off the board here. Matt Breida and then Matt Ryan, so we're getting a little closer to our first quarterback here. So I like the upside trend, but I don't know where that takes us now. I like it for our bench a lot. I think that's our best way to kind of catch up to these teams without having a quarterback yet, but where does that take us?
I think we continue that build. There's some good names out there. The fact that we already have Juju kind of precludes us from taking a guy like Deontay Johnson. Plus with Chase Claypool and James Washington's still there. That's a lot of traffic. But I could go back.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, we're just saying you can't go wrong. You know what? What the heck? Double your odds. I feel pretty good about wanting one of them hitting and becoming an elite wide receiver.
Outstanding. I like it.
Perfect.
All right, dirtbag on the clock here. Here we go again. The running at quarterbacks has started. Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees all gone. CeeDee Lamb went along with Jerry Jeudy, but now here we hang. 2 running backs, one of which is kind of speculation in Cohen because we're thinking that Montgomery is going to be out longer term. But our discussion from last time is still hanging out. We still have a chance at Lindsey. Do we get scared by the run at quarterbacks, or do we go for a third solid running back?
I mean, quarterbacks, we can take a shot on like a Daniel Jones, Ben Roethlisberger, Baker Mayfield. Those guys will be there at our next pick.
No, but I hate Shaken Baker.
All right, yeah, we can leave him out then. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, he has some upside.
Yeah, he does. And now, remember, Superflex, so we have to talk about it. But go up to the top of the quarterbacks that's left. So there's Rodgers, Allen, Carson Wentz, or Stafford. I'd be happy with either of those. And I wouldn't be heartbroken with Jones, really, if we can go around the bend. I think we got to go running back.
Yeah, Lindsey's still sitting there.
That is like a gift from the fantasy gods, man.
Yeah, we got to take it.
Yep.
All right, Philip Lindsay, locking it in.
All right, so Lindsey went, then Jordan Howard, who we discussed, then Deontay Johnson. I'm pretty sure you and I both discussed the quarterback room. We're both fans, right?
Yeah, I agree. We have Carson Wentz, who is a great option at this point of the draft.
I agree. So Carson Wentz it is, my friend.
All right, let's do it.
So JJ and Santiago took Carson Wentz as their second quarterback, and then Sleeper took Tevin Coleman and Antonio Gibson, 2 questionable running backs. We are on the board here. Blair, we're talking about either a running back or a receiver. We have 3 running backs and 2 receivers in our draft settings. We start 2 running backs, we start 2 receivers, and 1 flex. What do you think?
So I know we're supposed to be going running back heavy, and there are a couple that just went off the board. We were talking about Zach Moss and how Singletary has been having some issues in camp with fumbling, and Moss has been showing pretty good signs of being able to receive out of the backfield. And I think this may end up being more of a split than we really thought originally. So Moss has a lot of upside here. There are some receivers still on the board. Which way are you leaning? Do you think we should go receiver or running back here?
I think we should go. Honestly, I think we should go receiver and take Marvin Jones and pair him with DeAndre Swift in what I think could be a high-powered offense.
That's who I'm thinking as well. I really like Marvin Jones. He's been so consistent for so many years. He's going to get you those big touchdown games, but he's also not going to completely fade out like some other receivers will.
And this is a redraft league, so we're not looking 3 to 5 years down the line. I think we should lock it in with Marvin Jones and then go our next best running back with our next pick.
So Marvin Jones is going to go.
And then Aaron Rodgers got selected after us, and Deebo Samuel, another receiver. So that was perfect. No running backs got taken. We can take our fourth one here in the 9th round. Zach Moss, you said you liked. There's Latavius Murray, Alex Madison, Kerryon Johnson. We can pair with Swift. I don't love, though. And then Damian Harris has been getting a lot of hype out of Patriots camp. Who do you think?
Like I was saying, Moss sounds really good to me. I think Latavius Murray has some potential. The Saints, with Breeze aging, could return to that 2017 model of having 2 running backs who can perform well. And Murray was brought in to fill that Mark Ingram role. So for me, it would really be between Zach Moss and Latavius Murray. Both have upside. Both are going to be the second option, maybe the 1B option. So it's just which one we feel more comfortable with.
You know, Blair, I live in Buffalo now. I see a lot of Bills news out of camp. They have been loving Moss, and Sean McDermott and coaching staff has not been in love with Singletary so far. I think Josh Allen is going to start to run less. So let's lock it in with Zach Moss here as our 4th running back.
That sounds great to me. I'm really liking where our team is right now. I think we're off to a great start.
Well, speaking of turning points, Santiago, we are up. After they went with Zach Moss, Madison and Hurst both went. We are now in the 9th round of 16. We have our 2 quarterbacks. We have 2 running backs. We have 4 wide receivers. No tight end. I'm thinking running back or tight end here. Is there anybody on that tight end list who you're interested in, or do we keep punting?
I usually advocate for late round tight ends. I like me some. It's such a volatile position. You can get really solid guys late. So I think we can get into the seesaw. I mean, the saw part of the seesaw running back.
Okay, so looking at it, we have Latavius Murray, we have Kerryon Johnson, Chase Edmonds, Sony Michel, Damian Harris. Any of these guys strike your fancy?
The first 3 guys are the most interesting to me. Sony Michel does not interest me at all. I don't trust the New England backfield. So
I agree.
I think we're looking at Latavius, Kerryon, and Chase Edmonds. Well, what are your thoughts here?
I like Chase. Chase seemed to have the confidence of the coaching staff last year. It was only after he was injured that they went to Drake. I think he is going to get a shot to be at least in a running back by committee with Drake this year.
I agree. I think Chase is a pick here.
Here we go.
Chase Edmonds in the 9th round.
All right.
And so we saw Emmanuel Sanders and Tyler Higbee just got taken. So we have Josh Allen and Matt Stafford sitting right there, and we need a second quarterback.
Dude, so Team Dirtbag here, the 0 running back guys. We were drafting 8 overall. We're now in round 8, or 9 rather, and we're looking at our second monster quarterback in the Superflex League. When we already have 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs, and a monster tight end in Andrews, I think we go staff and start chiseling our name on a trophy.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm a huge Lions fan. Love me some Matt Stafford. I think that's the pick.
Yeah, gotta be. Dude, the rest is gravy.
No, they don't.
Yeah, this is kind of just working out for us.
Yes, there we go. We made it.
We're out of the
We're
cage. Out of the cage.
Stafford, Henry Ruggs, and Jamison Crowder, last three off the board. Stafford is the 12th quarterback. So I think we want to go in that direction.
We have to go in that direction. Yeah, we're into our bench.
Yeah.
It's time for a quarterback.
All right, so you were thinking maybe get somebody with some rushing upside?
I'm a little surprised to see Josh Allen still there. I think he is a mediocre real life quarterback, but he's a good fantasy quarterback, and I think that'd fit our team well.
Yeah, I agree. I'm totally on board with that. I feel like the main downside of Josh Allen is a few years down the road when you don't know whether he's going to stick around. But for this year, all in, grab that rushing upside. All right, Latavius Murray and Hunter Henry, the last two picks.
All right, so that gives us another quarterback option here.
Yeah.
We just took a safe quarterback. Again, I think a guy with a good floor. What are your thoughts about rolling dice a little bit? Who do you like?
I think Cam Newton, Daniel Jones, both decent options. Both a little bit of a risk reward kind of scenario, but as our second quarterback, I'm a little more confident in Daniel Jones getting through 16 games this season.
I am too, and again, he had 4 games last year where he had 4 more touchdowns. So that's just huge potential. Second year, I like it.
All right, Daniel Jones, it is.
We just saw Daniel Jones, Mecole Hardman, and A.J. Dillon get selected. We haven't taken a receiver since the 3rd round. It's probably time to dip back into that pool.
All right, so let's talk some of the dudes that are hanging. We got Darius Slayton, who's probably going to be covered up in targets in New York. We got Jalen Reagor. Now, Rager's interesting because
I'm a big Reagor fan.
The reports out of Eagles camp are that he has taken the position over for possibly even their wide receiver 1. And
yeah, and I heard he burned Darius Slay too.
Yeah, which is significant.
Yeah. So
the other option is like Justin Jefferson, who's already sewed up the wide receiver 2 job in Minnesota. Or then it starts to get shallow because then you're looking at Anthony Miller, Deshaun Jackson, Sterling Shep. Now that's based on these rankings and not necessarily our own, but right. Dude, I think you sold me. Let's take the upside pick on Reagor.
All right, Reagor it is.
Doug Peterson loves to throw the ball around the yard, and we're taking advantage.
Yep, we are. All right, so Jalen Reagor went to Ryan's team, followed by Cam and Carrion. So what are we doing? Are we going with a tight end here?
We could. I see that Hawkinson and Fant are both still available, both great options.
Yes.
I personally prefer Hawkinson. How do you feel?
I prefer Hawkinson only because I prefer Stafford to Locke.
Yeah, that comes down to that. So I think we agree.
So do we want to go with Hawkinson, or do we want to go with somebody like Darius Slayton, Damian Harris?
I tend to try to stay away of the New England backfield altogether. I don't trust Bill Belichick to produce a good fantasy running back. So I think TJ Hawkinson could give us a better outlook this season.
All right, so we're going to go with TJ Hawkinson.
So JJ just took TJ Hawkinson, and then the computer took Damian Harris, followed by Sony Michel. So both Patriots running backs going back to back. I think we're both a little disappointed TJ went. We were talking about getting him earlier. And we were talking about looking at some of those Patriot running backs. So we may have to switch up our strategy here. What are you thinking here?
I got to be honest. I know he's been around for a very, very long time, but Adrian Peterson might be the only serviceable back in that backfield. Antonio Gibson, a lot of people love right now. Bryce Love was hurt all of last year. Who knows what he does? I don't hate going Adrian Peterson here, and he might just eat up some points for us. I know it is PPR and he is not going to catch a lot of passes, but he's going to be a bench running back for us anyway. So I don't hate going Adrian Peterson.
Let me throw a curveball at you. What's your feelings about Nyheim Hines? He's a lot lower down the board, but in PPR, with Phillip Rivers as his quarterback and two running backs ahead of him who aren't particularly known for their catching ability, the upside's there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You say that because in my series predicting one bold prediction for each NFL team released on RiderDynasty.com, for the Indianapolis Colts, I said that Nyheim Hines will be the best PPR running back out of those three, Mack or Taylor or Hines. Let's go Hines.
Oh man, I love to hear it. This is great. I thought I was throwing a dart and you picked it right up. This is perfect. Let's go Nyheim Hines. After him, Darrell Henderson was taken, followed by Justin Jefferson. So we're back on the board. We were saying we were going to go running back, and then we were trying to decide between tight end and a third quarterback. So the simulation isn't really taking as many quarterbacks as we expected for a super flex. So in the 11th round, we have some really solid quarterbacks here if we want to use them as trade bait or just stream within our team. But we still need a tight end. So Brendan, which way do you think you want to go here?
I think we can still wait one more round for our third quarterback. I think Jared Cook might not be terrible for 1 year in redraft. Gesicki, I love. He's an amazing athlete. I love Tua more than Burrow, but he is very interesting to me. Jonnu Smith is interesting, and then Chris Herndon would be my favorite out of those guys. I think Sam Darnold is going to have to throw the ball with that bad defense, and Crowder's going to eat up a lot of targets. Perriman, who knows? Mims is hurt right now. I think we should go Herndon. What do you think?
I like to double tap this position when we're going this late, and I agree. I really like Herndon. I might risk it one more round and go Gesicki here, and then follow by Herndon.
Fine. Yeah, this is pretty deep, this tier of tight ends. So if you want to go Gesicki, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I really like Herndon. I completely agree with everything you said. I just think he'll still be there while Gesicki might not. And if we're going to kind of try to take two late round flyers, I think we should try to play it a little safe and go Gesicki here.
Yeah, I think JJ and Santiago are going to take Herndon with their next pick because JJ apparently thinks Herndon's going to be better than Kelsey and Kittle this year. But let's go Gesicki and hope for the best.
Me into it. I want to do this out of spite. I forgot he was a Jets homer. I want to be a little salty here. Let's take Herndon.
All right, so they went with her. Oh, they took Herndon, those sons of bitches. Darius Slayton and Adrian Peterson went. Are we looking at another running back here?
We could. We are at that point where the early handcuffs start going, like Pollard, Scott. I don't want those guys. Right now, I'm looking at Duke Johnson, who is behind David Johnson, because I think David Johnson could potentially lose some time to injury, or in a wild scenario, lose the starting job to Duke Johnson. So he is an upside guy I like around this time. What do you think?
Now, my question to you is, or do we go with somebody like a Christian Kirk? And hope that we can wrap around and grab Duke Johnson on the way back.
I like that. Honestly, Duke Johnson could fall. I see that happening. And, I mean, we are doing CISO RB, so I think Christian Kirk is a play for us right here.
I mean, I think he definitely has wide receiver 2 upside.
Definitely. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins settles into the offense as fast. That leaves a lot of room for Christian Kirk.
So Christian Kirk is the pick.
I agree.
Very good, my friend.
All right, let's see. Okay, here we are. Dirtbags on the clock. Tony Pollard
yeah, we just saw Tony Pollard and Jared Cook get taken.
Right. So to recap, we got 4 wide receivers, we got 3 running backs, a tight end, and 2 excellent quarterbacks. So now it's death time, round 11. Do we want to seal out the quarterback position, or do you think we should take the best running back available so we can stick a fork in that?
Let's just get running back out of the way because
All right.
I have my eyes on one guy right now, and once he's gone, it's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, definitely. The shallow end of the pool becomes the kiddie pool real quick. So we got Keyshawn Vaughn left. And for those of you following Tampa Bay, Keyshawn Vaughn has a skill set very similar to James White and was a really good runner out of Illinois and Vandy. The other guys in the neighborhood, or there's like Boston Scott, Bryce Love maybe after 2 years of being banged up is now seemingly healthy and could maybe be the starter in Washington. Who knows? I like Vaughn.
Yeah, I like Vaughn too.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's the pick here.
All right. Last 2 picks off the board here, Noah Fant and Deshaun Jackson. We finally got a full starting lineup. We grabbed our 2 quarterbacks now. What's the move here, Jared?
You know, we've been talking offline here about upside. You know, we've got a really solid starting lineup, some really good upside on the bench. Regardless of the way that we go on position, I think that we continue to chase that, whether that's a Joe Burrow, you know, to give us that third quarterback, or one of the wide receivers, running backs. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, I mean, I'm 100% on board. I think you go upside all the way, especially on your bench. This is win or go home. I think Burrow's a great pick here, and then we kind of hope that one of those wide receivers makes it back around to us.
Now, that's probably because they chose their first 2 QBs who had the same bye week.
Oh, that's right.
So I wonder if they're going to have to reach for a 4th QB now because they didn't watch
that was a panic pick. Going 0 QB in a super flex and then finding out they have the same bye.
Yeah, that's rough.
There we go. And I think they did. Bryce Love off the board and then Sterling Shepard next. And to me, he's not really the high upside options we're looking for. So that gives us a variety of choices here. Are you leaning any particular way here?
So I think Preston Williams really fits, you know, kind of what we're looking for. 23 years old. He was dynamic before his injury. I think that fits the mold that we've got with Lamb and Judy. I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I like it. I am not the biggest Preston Williams fan in the world because I feel like he's risky, and yet I love that pick here because, exactly to your point, I mean, he's got sky-high upside. He's got the athleticism, the size, and there's not much else there in that Miami depth chart. Preston Williams, it is.
Outstanding.
Oh, there goes Ben. All right, Dirtbag's back on the clock. The last 2 were Brandon Ayuk and Ben Roethlisberger. And Preston Williams went. So here we are, sitting reasonably pretty here. Needing a quarterback yet. We need another tight end yet, for sure. We've got 4 running backs and 4 wide receivers.
So, I mean, as far as quarterbacks, we have Baker Mayfield sitting there, Jared Goff, Gardner Minshew, and a little bit further down the list is Drew Lock. And I feel like he has higher upside than all those guys, and we could probably wait another round on him.
All right. If that's the case, then let's see what's hanging in tight end land.
We have Austin Hooper, Mike Gesicki, Jonnu Smith.
And then it gets into the Ebrons and Doyles and Dallas Goedert. All right. Last year, Dallas Goedert was a tight end 1.
Yes. He was, he either finished 10th or 11th.
Ooh.
So, I mean, we could wait on him, too. And we could get another receiver here. Like maybe a Golden Tate, who showed a lot of chemistry with Daniel Jones last year. He could put up wide receiver 2 numbers, I think.
Well, and I'll tell you what, as we look down through the wide receiver pool, we're starting to get into rookie land, which we already have a rookie wide receiver that we probably shouldn't take another. And I can't. Right this year, I cannot stay on the Chargers offense, so Mike Williams is hard no for me.
Agreed. Plus, he's hurt.
I'll tell you what. Tate might be the dude.
Yeah, I kind of like that pick.
We can sew things up on the quarterback position on the next turn, and then tight end is deep. All right. You sold me, man. Tate it is.
All right, Golden Tate, locking it in.
Oh, Duke Johnson and Austin Hooper just went.
There goes our pick.
All right, so they took Golden Tate, followed by Duke and Austin. So we lost our running back. So
now you did mention
looking
DeAndre Washington as an option.
I did.
However, I'm also looking at. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no.
Joshua Kelly is an interesting option to me.
Yes. High upside.
Really high upside. We have our floor. It's the 12th round. We could take a shot on a guy like Joshua Kelly behind Eckler. I think he beats out Justin Jackson. Could produce with a good role within the team.
Yeah, and I like rookie running backs. Rookie running backs perform much better than rookie wide receivers. So I think he has all the upside in the world if anything happens to Eckler. And he might even get the short yardage goal line work.
I say we take this shot here.
Put it on the board.
So JJ and Santiago took Joshua Kelly, Chargers rookie running back. The next pick was Anthony Miller, Bears receiver, and Alan Lazard, Packers receiver. We are on the clock now at 12:11, and Jared Goff is still on the board. And we have Dak Prescott and Kyler Murray already as our locked-in QB and Superflex players. Jared Goff had that shine, and 2 years ago, 2018, took them all the way to the Super Bowl. Obviously lost the Super Bowl, and then things started to go downhill from there. Their cap situation's horrible, but fell off all the way down to, quarterback 13?
Yeah, that's a huge drop-off for somebody we're getting in Superflex in the 12th round. So I love this pick if we want to go Goff here. In Superflex, I like to always leave with at least 3 quarterbacks. And if we can get someone as solid as Goff in the 12th round, I don't think this will happen in real life, but this is great value, great upside, seems to check all the boxes. I'm on board with Goff. And if in the year he starts to shine and we want to use him as trade bait, all the better. If we want to use him as a streaming option, all the better. I think this is an easy pick for us here.
Let's do it. So Jared Goff, and then the next 2 picks were Justin Jackson and Boston Scott. So we have our pick, running back, receiver, tight end. I think we should go back to tight end. We just took Herndon 2 picks ago, but I really like Gesicki. As I was saying, Jonnu Smith is interesting. Blake Jarwin, Ebron, Dallas Goedert. Out of those guys, I like Gesicki. How about you?
I agree. We were talking about taking him in the 11th, and then just last second switched just to be annoying and bother JJ. So the fact that the guy we wanted in the 11th is still here in the 13th. And when we're taking the strategy of late tight ends, I like to have at least 2 that have upside and then just see how the season plays out. And Gesicki and Herndon really are both just freak athletes, can really catch wonderfully and have a lot of upside. So I'm all on board with Gesicki.
Yeah, Herndon missed time the entire year last year, but I think Gesicki will be a solid 1-2 punch with him. Let's do it.
Perfect.
All right, so now looking here. So before us, Sammy Watkins just went, Baker Mayfield. Do we take our third QB here? Because I'm looking at somebody I really like. And I know you're not a big fan. So there's somebody else I'm looking at. Because I like Jimmy G here. But I'm also a Gardner Minshew fan.
I know you're a Jimmy G fan. I don't like his floor. I don't think he has the weapons or the rushing floor to be a stable QB. However, Gardner Minshew is interesting to me. He's shown a lot of promise. He played well his first year, beat out Nick Foles. I mean, injury and all. So I wouldn't be opposed to going Gardner Minshew. Another guy I like is Ryan Tannehill. I think he's very effective, not flashy. So what are your thoughts?
If we go, I don't like Tannehill at this point, maybe a little bit later. Now, we also have somebody like Brian Edwards available, which, of course, I did say about rookie wide receivers, but I do like Edwards.
Edwards is interesting.
I would say Minshew at this point.
I like Minshew. I think we can agree here.
And then we're done with our quarterbacks. Awesome. Gardner Minshew.
Okay, Dirtbag's back on the clock. 3 quarterbacks went ahead of us now in Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, and Tannehill. And then DeAndre Washington, an interesting pick as a running back for KC to fill the void left by Williams opting out of the season. But here we are. We're sitting now 5 wide receivers, 4 solid running backs, 1 tight end, and 2 QBs. Considering the run on quarterbacks, do you think we need to do our 3rd quarterback here, or can we wait? Since we're pick 8, can we kind of ride the turn and take the tight end we're talking about now? The tight ends remaining, if we look at it, we got Dallas Goedert left, Juno Smith, Jake Doyle, that's kind of it. I think we need to we got to do our Goddard if we want him.
Yeah, I mean, he was the tight end 1 last year, so that would be a great pick here.
Philly absolutely.
I don't know how he's still on the board, actually.
Philly led the league in tight end targets last year, and I see no reason for them to deviate from that. So, Goddard it is to my mind.
All right, let's go Goddard.
Go Goddard, go.
All right, we're up.
All right. Last 2 picks, Brashad Perriman and John Brown. That's a little mini wide receiver run. Where are we thinking about going here, Jared?
Oh, home. All the running backs are gone. We're going home.
Done. Congrats.
So, we've got to get some running back help, but there's just nothing really that attractive. Chris Thompson, I think, back with Jay Gruden, has a chance to be that pass-catching running back. It doesn't really fit our team, though. We're going for young upside.
I was going to say, I don't have a problem with Thompson. At the same time, it's like he might fill in for a flex week here and there, and but you're not getting more than that.
What about a guy like Darrington Evans? Assuming he's still, there he is.
Yeah.
If Henry goes down for any reason in that offense, that rush first offense, that could be a league winner.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he could steal some 3rd down work too. Henry's never really been a pass catcher, so think of him as a discount Chris Thompson with higher upside. I think that's good with me, Darrington Evans.
All right, we're back. Okay.
Jimmy Garoppolo and Jack Doyle off the board here at the turn. What are we thinking here? I mean, potentially crazy idea, but, do we handcuff our own tight end here?
Well, Goddard already went off the board. Yeah.
Oh, did he?
He went off last round. Yeah, I saw that right before we were going to pick. I think that would have been a smart move, honestly, with Philadelphia tight ends, but Ryan got us.
That's rough. Yeah, I would have liked that.
I do like Jonnu Smith. Outside of A.J. Brown, Tannehill, who's Tannehill really going to pass to unless we believe in a Corey Davis resurgence?
Year 4. This is the year.
This is the year. Athletic, just great up the seam. I think we could do worse, backup tight end.
Yeah, I agree. Fits our team motto here. Jonnu Smith, lock it in.
All right.
Ooh, and Kill Harry.
All right, here we go. Dirtbag's up.
All right, so we need a 3rd quarterback for bye weeks, and we have some pretty solid options here. We just saw LaShawn McCoy and N'Keal Harry go, Jonnu Smith, Jack Doyle. So looking at quarterbacks, Drew Lock, Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr.
So here's the thing. Do you want to bet on potential? Like maybe Tua jumps in and is instant awesome? Or a first-year starter like Locke with some weapons around him in Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy with a good tight end group in Albert O and Fant and two good running backs. But again, a first year real starter. Does he lay an egg in the 2 weeks you actually need him, or do you want to look at something maybe more consistent like a Derek Carr or a Kirk Cousins that you kind of know what you're going to get?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the idea of betting on the potential here. Drew Lock, he could just go off for 30 touchdowns and 4,500 yards. But I can also see the value in taking somebody like a Derek Carr that will, finish in the mid QB2 range.
All right. Potential wins it. Why not? Fortune favors the bold. Derek Lock. No, Drew Lock.
Drew Lock.
Derek Lock. Who's that?
Locking it in.
Oh, bub.
All right, so Drew Lock went. They didn't take Brian Edwards. Brian Edwards is our pick here. We've already discussed it.
There's nothing else to discuss.
If Brian Edwards was available, we're going to take him, right?
Correct. Let's do it.
I think he has a high upside as being the wide receiver 2, at least on that team, if not the wide receiver 1.
I agree.
Let's do it. Oh, I love getting rookies.
So JJ just took Brian Edwards. We were talking about him as a potential choice.
Damn.
Took Mike Williams and Eric Ebron. We were also talking about Mike Williams. But those were our backup options. We had an interesting idea for this turn here. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what our plan is, Brendan?
Yeah, so we've got Michael Pittman still on the board here. We also have Paris Campbell still on the board. My idea is to take Pittman and then take Paris after the turn and see what happens. I'm thinking T.Y. Hilton has had some injury issues. It's a fantastic offensive line, so Rivers is going to have time to throw. He's going to throw it a lot. And the two of them aren't going to need to start for our team right away. We can see who wins out the second most targets behind T.Y. for Rivers. And if T.Y. gets hurt, God forbid, then it's even better. What do you think?
I really like that idea. I thought it was creative. It was interesting. And there's also potential that they both do just fine. Pittman's going to be on the outside. Campbell's going to be in the slot. So they're not going to be necessarily eating into each other's volume. There is potential that both of them could be good. And like you said, these are going to be our 4th and 5th wide receiver. We have 2, 3, 4 weeks to figure out this situation, get some more information, and feel more confident if we do need to put one of them into the lineup. So let's go ahead. Let's lock in Pittman here.
And to be honest, so I'll let you call those, but to be honest, it kind of reminds me of what the Chargers have in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Campbell underneath is going to get a lot of yards after the catch. He's going to make a lot of guys miss, and then Pittman on the outside, jumping up for balls. Rivers likes those tall tight ends. Let's do it.
Definitely. So the computer, after our pick of Pittman, took Benny Snell Jr. and then Phillip Rivers. So Paris Campbell was still there. I wasn't too worried he was going to go. But yeah, the Pittman to Mike Williams comp I think is pretty strong. He could be getting those touchdown catches. And then Paris he's so fast. And those Ohio State wide receivers come out looking pretty good. So he had some injuries last year. I think this could be a good year for him.
We are up. Paris Campbell went. I love that upside pick. Chris Thompson, he's been around forever, followed by Larry Fitzgerald, who we discussed. Now, we already said who we were going to take at this point, right?
Yeah, I think we're in agreement here. Giovanni Bernard is amazing value right here.
And I'm Italian. My mother's from Italy, so I'm going to go with my paisan Giovanni.
Let's go.
Now, before we hit select,
yes,
you just wrote an article about Giovanni Bernard.
I did. He is a little bit of like the forgotten handcuff of fantasy. He is behind on RB1, like Madison or Pollard behind Cook and Zeke. But he seems to be ignored. He is the clear backup of Joe Mixon, has out-targeted him every single season, targets per game that they've been in the backfield together. And every single time that Mixon has missed time, Giovanni Bernard has put up a top 8 running back performance.
Well, you had me at top 8. I'm with you. I love Giovanni Bernard. And at this point of the draft, if Mixon goes down, we have an RB2 the rest of the year. So time for the saw part, right?
That's right.
We did the C. Let's finish the saw.
That's how
Giovanni Bernard.
That's how we play.
That's how we do.
All right. Here we are. Dirtbags on the clock again. Just before us, Anthony McFarland Jr. went and Lamar Miller went. So depth running backs. Now here we sit. We have an interesting deal. We're at the point now where there's really only 4 starting quarterbacks left. And we are pretty locked up. We've got our 5 receivers. We've got our 4 running backs. 2 very solid tight ends. Is it now time to play a wonderful game of screw your friends by hoarding quarterbacks and making somebody trade with you?
Absolutely.
So we've got some interesting steady options. We've got Cousins, who's been on a downturn for 2 consecutive years, but still puts up adequate numbers. Teddy Bridgewater, who knows what he's going to do in Carolina, and Derek Carr, who's just been Mr. Consistent and does not turn the ball over via the INT.
I'm kind of leaning Derek Carr here. We're putting together an article right now, a fantasy superlatives article.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Brendan. And I predicted that Carr could finish as a top 12 receiver this year.
Quarterback.
Given all of his new weapons.
Yep. Yeah, so many new toys there. Let's do it.
Derek Carr, let's lock it up.
All right. Hunter Renfrow, Kirk Cousins, last 2 picks here off the board. We've got 2 picks to go here, rounding out the roster, full starting lineup. Are we still shooting for upside here?
We've bought a shitload of Similac, so I think that since we have so much formula, we better stick with the babies.
What does that mean in terms of player though? Where are we going here?
I think Curtis Samuel fits that young upside. I'd like to see him go with one of the next 2 picks. I think the chance of him getting sniped in the next 2 picks is more likely than our next one. So I would vote Curtis
All right,
Samuel.
I'm good with it. I think Samuel's, we talked about that offense. It's kind of an unknown coming into the season, and in round 15, an unknown is kind of good. Samuel, I think, has a chance to have a breakout season. And in the, terrible off chance that CMC misses some time, Samuel has kind of played that hybrid running back wide receiver role that CMC does now, back when Samuel was in college. So I like it as a real upside pick.
Sounds good.
Hey, there we go.
Right.
All right, so after some technical difficulties there, we got Alshon Jeffrey and Corey Davis off the board at the turn. Last pick of the draft. What's the move?
I think that leaves us with kind of the same thought process we had on Darrington Evans. Just in the event that Derrick Henry missed some time, league-winning type running back. I believe Raquel Armstead in Jacksonville does the same thing. Young, he's going to be the running back next year. I think he may get a shot with some work this year.
Yeah, I agree. And even outside of a Fournette injury, the Jaguars do not seem to be on the same page with Fournette. So maybe there's he's got a small chance at some playing time ahead of that.
All right.
All right. A good draft.
Excellent. That's pretty good.
All right, so with our last pick here, we just saw D.D. Westbrook and Thaddeus Moscow, Raquel Armstead, Corey Davis. There's one guy left at tight end that I think has a real chance of having a breakout season, and that is Dawson Knox.
Now, our tight end depth is already really good. We have Dallas Goedert, and we have Mark Andrews, so we're doing really well here, and we have the luxury now of taking a speculation deal. So, yeah, what do you think? Hard Knocks?
Hard Knocks it is. Championship.
Put it on the board, man.
All right. So, Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold just went back-to-back after the Debbie Dirtbag and Don took Dawson Knox. Now, we were discussing going with a backup tight end, but Santiago, you and I agreed that we can always just pick one up off of waivers when we need to.
Yeah, I would rather go depth here.
Okay, so you're looking at who are you looking at here?
If we wanted to take a high upside pick, looking at the running backs, we could go with Dare that we discussed earlier. Wide receivers, I think, Denzel Mims is still available. So those are two guys I like that could give us some upside depth in the position.
All right, I think I'm going to agree with you on Dare.
Yeah, I think he's a play. He's the last piece of our saw in the seesaw running back.
All right, let's go Dare.
All right, Blair. So JJ and Santiago went. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry.
Dare Ogunbowale.
Perfect. You crushed that. After him was Danny Amendola and Tua Tagovailoa. I know how to do that one. We are up with the pick before Mr. Irrelevant. If this were an actual draft, we would be going with our fourth quarterback. But with the last pick here, I say we should go with a high upside guy. There's not a ton of running backs or receivers that I love around this area. A lot of these guys I think we can pick up off waivers in a few weeks. Since we already have two young tight ends with question marks, Chris Herndon and Mike Gesicki, I think we can go Ian Thomas out in Carolina. I really like him. Again, he's another super athlete at that position. He came into the NFL super raw and was playing behind Greg Olsen, who is one of the best guys to learn the position from. I think we go Ian Thomas. And what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a big Irv Smith fan, but I think that might be more Dynasty. He's still playing behind Rudolph, so I'm not sure his upside this year is as high as Ian Thomas's. And when we're taking this dart throw, we're really going for upside here. So while Irv Smith probably has a higher floor than Ian Thomas, we're going just throwing something against the wall, third tight end, hoping we can get some big production out of a late flyer. So I like not playing it safe here, and I like the Ian Thomas take. The quarterbacks still available are Tyrod Taylor and Dwayne Haskins. So like you said, normally I'd probably be taking one of those guys and using them for trade bait mid-season. But this is just a mock draft, so let's have some fun. Let's go for upside. Let's go Ian Thomas as our final pick.
All right, guys. That went a lot faster than I thought. How did it go for you guys?
That was great.
I thought it was great.
Good.
I accidentally thought we were drafting for Dynasty for like 6 rounds, but I didn't say anything too stupid, so we're okay.
We had some conversations about how no matter if I'm drafting redraft or Dynasty, I always think Dynasty.
when I looked back at my team, I was like,
or
our team, I was like, oh, well, we still did. We're fine.
Yeah, you're in good shape. So let's start with 81 Air. That was Blair and Brendan, right?
Yeah.
So how do you think your team turned out?
I actually really like our team. Kyler and Dak are going to be studs for us at quarterback and Superflex. Obviously, McCaffrey. We had a running back heavy strategy, so we went back-to-back running backs with McCaffrey and then James Conner. He's got some injury issues, so in the 5th round, we went DeAndre Swift, who I really like.
Yeah, I like your team a lot. Santiago and I were discussing it, especially your 3 wide receivers. Cooks, Landry, and Jones, if healthy, those are 3 great wide receivers who get little love right now. Awesome. Santiago, why don't you talk about our draft a little bit?
I really like the way our team turned out. We got some really stable floor guys early on and then took our high upside picks later in the draft. That gives us a really good balance between security and boom potential. The seesaw strategy worked really nice. We got our 2 main guys, Zeke and Fournette, in the first 2 rounds and then complemented them with high upside guys like Joshua Kelly. So overall, I'm really happy with the team.
Yeah, I would have to say I'm pretty happy with this team. I love our wide receivers. And I really like the fact that we got Christian Kirk in the 11th. I was surprised to see him there. I think that has an opportunity to be a great steal that late in the draft. Ryan and Don.
Yeah. So I'm not a big wide receiver heavy fan as a strategy. And I'm so pleasantly surprised how this thing worked out for us. Because if looking at our roster, I feel like all we need is our running backs to be adequate, and we're in a really great place.
Yeah, it was great coming away with 3 wide receiver ones in the first 3 rounds in Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, and DJ Moore.
Yeah, and then still getting Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews.
Yeah, that was enormous. Yeah. We were really taken aback when he was sitting there.
And then Deshaun in Superflex.
Right.
Which that's part of the simulation. It kind of, they didn't go quarterback heavy in the beginning, but take advantage.
My favorite pick was coming back around our third running back, Philip Lindsay, where we got him is like awesome. We were so happy when he wound up there because it really solidified things for us, especially after taking a risk with Cohen a little higher.
Yeah, and Melvin Gordon has been having a hard time acclimating to the altitude, which, of course, Santiago knows from coming from an even higher city, right? The 1.5-mile city down in Mexico City.
Yeah, I don't have problems with altitude.
Sometimes I pass out standing up, but that's just because I don't do much. Now, Eric and Jared. I mean, of course, I have to point out the fact that your first 2 QBs both had the same bye week, which I'm sure you didn't notice at first.
No, but you know what? I'm okay with it. Don't draft for bye week, people.
Not even in redraft?
No, I don't. I honestly, I'll admit, I didn't realize that, but I don't look at bye weeks when I draft and redraft. It's a 16-week season. I'm not going to, take a lesser option because I'm worried about 1 week.
I have to say that although I should look for bye weeks, I tend to remember bye weeks at about round 9 in every redraft league I do, and it's always the same. There's bye weeks. Right? Like, oh no. But yeah, I think getting Joe Burrow then, and you could easily pick somebody up off the waiver wire, like one of those crappy QBs like Haskins or Darnold.
And I mean, I think
Darnold got drafted. Wait, did Haskins get drafted?
No, Haskins got drafted.
Wow, and Darnold did.
We were talking about
the disrespect
taking him with our
is real,
pick, but opted not to.
Probably just to stab Eric in the heart, which I appreciate. And so yeah, you guys were the assholes who took Herndon.
We are.
Yep. We weren't even considering him, honestly. We were going to go Gesicki, and then I saw him there and thought it would be fun to be annoying and take him before you could 2 picks later. And then Gesicki was there in the next round.
It was purely spiteful.
And you got him anyway.
It was purely spiteful after you took TJ Hawkinson from us.
Well, hey, look, drafting is all about hate. There's no problem with that. Poor Santiago asked me if I liked Eric Ebron.
Oh.
And
big mistake.
I had to.
Did you play nice?
Had to explain that. I told him that it's like he kicked my dog or punched my son. Like I really had to hate him. All right, guys, this was great to get this pod done in like an hour, a little over an hour and a half. I might split into 2. I might not. We'll see how long the edited version goes. There's a lot of us, so give us your tags and a quick goodbye. Don.
So, as you know, I tend to choose happiness and don't do the social media. So you can consider me the social media Sasquatch. I'm the champion of social distancing in that way. But these things are fun. They're meant to be fun, and this was awesome.
Awesome. Ryan.
You can find me on Twitter at the Devi Dirtbag, and this is probably my favorite pod I've been a part of. This is great.
Awesome. Jared.
You can find me at UnstuckInTime82. Draft quarterback slate. It works.
Brendan.
I'm on Twitter at BCTaffe. That's TAFFE with it at the end. And draft the guys you like, and don't at players and be an asshole online.
Blair.
You can find me at Blair Perot, Pierroz, on Twitter. And as always, if you want football, wear your mask.
Man, you guys, I love you guys. Santiago.
You can find me at FF_Casanova. Thank you for having me. Really, this has been such a good time.
Man, Santiago, I don't know if we're brothers or if you're my son because you are younger than my son, but we really got along in our draft. We kind of agreed on everybody. It was kind of frightening, except Eric Ebron. But I'm at JJ Wenner. Check us out at Rider Dynasty on Twitter, riderdynasty.com. These great writers are putting out articles every week. From all of us to all of you, be safe, be well, wear your goddamn masks, and as always, people, boat drinks. Boat drinks.